My jaw's hitting the ground. My jaw's hitting the ground.
Cat fire! Meow! Cat fire! Meow! Cat fire! Meow! Cat fire! Meow! Cat fire! Meow!
Welcome, everyone. Hey, we're all here.
Hey.
What was that all about? What is happening?
I don't know. Our intro gets stranger every time we come on.
It wasn't even an intro. To be honest, I went to play the intro after all that stuff, and I couldn't find it. Like, did I accidentally delete it?
Did you remember to put Cat Fighter in the intro? Because I didn't catch it that time.
I don't think I did. Like, if anyone didn't catch
Cat
it.
fire! Meow!
On top of that next
Okay,
time.
I'm sorry. Anyways, welcome, Nick Geeks with Cash, the Retro Advisory Board, other known as RAB, and me, the DJC. So, welcome. Wow, we have a lot of people, or we did. Unless that's funny.
Everybody's like, wait, it's broken. They're cracked.
It's broken. We're leaving. Oh, God. You have your popcorn. I'm drinking a good Samuel Adams Oktoberfest because they put it out at the end of July, which is really weird this year.
That's nice.
You know, they do Halloween stuff like earlier and every year. It's become like the new Christmas.
Dan says
still
it's
doing
the
a summer.
ultimate chill fest.
Summer shanty. I'm good.
That's why we'll be soon giving these away. The number one chill t-shirt, which are available nowhere.
Totally don't have 17 of those.
Yeah, right. No love for Wario. Once again, it's only 4 things, and the chat poll is the favorite puzzle. So I put Bubble Bobble series, which is gonna include the Bust a Move, Parasol Stars, Rainbow Islands, Bubble Bobble, anything with Bub and Bubby and all that stuff. So that'd be that one, and then I do obviously the Bomberman series, which will be the Dino Blasters, the Bombermans, the Bomberman 1, 2, 3, 93, 94, and beyond. Bomberman World, which is one of my favorites. And then I put Dr. Mario and Tetris in there, just a little bit of 8-bit love, and of course Tetris. I mean, you just got to have that in there. I wanted to even go into stuff like, I don't even if you call it puzzle, but maybe like I don't know, like Arkanoid and Breakout and stuff like that. But then you're starting to get into like
yeah, I would say that's puzzle
genre almost. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. But anyways, yeah. So I can only do 4 of them, so that's the 4.
Yeah, I would have voted for Bubble Bobble. It was torn between that and Tetris, to be honest with you, because I do like Tetris, but I think overall I like the mechanics of like Bubble Bobble, and I've been really big into the only fun game I mess with now is that like they have this Angry Birds pop game, which reminds me of Bubble Bobble, and I enjoy that one for what it is.
Rab does that. I don't know if he has 2 fists of it, but he does have some drinks. They're letting him drink today. We're letting him drink.
Yeah, I never end up drinking on Wednesday because I've always got like a window going into the evening.
Mr. Responsibility.
They make me work weird hours, man.
You and your gerb.
I know.
Dr. Robotnik and Collins, yep.
I hear you.
AMICO-chan, what's happened? I haven't seen you in a bit. Well, I mean, on here. Yeah, I was thinking of mobile stuff, Candy Crush too. I know. It's more retro kind of stuff, I guess.
Candy Crush is kind of fun for what it is. I kind of got burned out on it and then ended up uninstalling it though.
Yeah, I've seen enough people play Candy Crush on the train. I'm
Honey Pop.
It's a fun time sink. That's what I look at it as. I mean, that's really what most of the mobile games are, is a fun interlude time sink when they can't really or don't really want to break out like a different game to really sit down and mess with.
It's coming.
Super Seducer is a good puzzle game. Oh, that's an insane one. If you haven't seen, check out Panda Sub 2000's channel where we play Super Seducer. It's interesting. Oh, you silly trolling.
I know. It's like I eat food, and I do it sometimes before we get on here. Much to some people's disappointment.
It's my internet broken. It's a show not started.
The show never starts.
Oh, Rhea's in chat. Hi, Rhea. Good to see you.
I'm catching up. Yeah. Was that popcorn? Dog corn? I don't know what that is.
I don't really know where that
popcorn. Popcorn.
Oh,
hey, look,
popcorn.
It's
okay,
Mickey
that's weird.
Phantom. Anyways,
there's a popcorn emoji. Why would you do a puppy and then popcorn? Very confused.
Popcorn. Because it's popcorn, not popcorn.
Okay. Okay.
Atari, what's happening? Long live Atari. I just played Sequest the other day and I absolutely loved it.
Sequest DSV for the PlayStation or
Haslov. What's that? No, I actually played the Atari 2600.
The real Sequest, yeah.
Yeah, the real Sequest. Wow, there's.
Oh, hey, Haslov. Good to see you, man.
Hey, man.
Can't wait to play Cat Fighter with my grandma. Me too, and she is no longer alive. But we are going to play Cat Fighter.
He's just yelling at the tombstone. You're holding the controller wrong.
Cameron Hayes. I'm trying to catch everyone.
Thomas Bryant's in the chat.
Around.
Yeah, some good people in today.
Yeah.
Let's
and
I'm at Oktoberfest, absolutely. Oh, Mickey, we have Mickey Phantom or Dale the Rescue Ranger.
Brother Mike is in chat.
Will you marry me? A proposition, a proposal, if you will, or if you won't.
All right.
Mike Hawk, what's happening?
Episode 47, our first proposal. It didn't take that long.
Is anyone a certified reverend? We could just kind of like do this.
Yeah,
now.
we can get someone, or we'll go offshore to no. Did you see? There's a new fighting game called Versus. It plays as weird as it sounds. What's it on?
That sounds bizarre.
That's so bizarre. I'd put it on the channel and play it, dude. Let me know if it's on like Switch or Steam or something. I'll get it and make a video on it. That sounds fantastic.
Like fighting bears. Versus?
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I sure hope so. Already married. You're not supposed to tell everyone. Ooh. Not supposed to tell.
Fastback's here. We got Fastback in the chat. Blood and Teeth showed up.
Chris.
Yeah, the VCS has a spinner for like
2 drinks. I didn't know I'd be doing them at the same time.
Yeah, AMICO spinner's a phony. You're a phony. You're a big fat phony. Actually, I do like the spinner on the disc, actually. Hey, it's Rhea. I'm sorry, I'm catching up. I know you guys said that earlier.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch people as they come in
and
and
look
catch up on
at this
chat.
guy. Look at this guy.
We have a panda sub, an entire panda sub.
We have a full panda sub in the chat.
We do.
No backstory, just the sub.
Just
Bubble.
Right there
remember,
for no reason.
Remember, Bubble Bobble counts with the Bust a Move, Parasol Stars, Rainbow Islands. Anything from the Bubble Bobble series is in that Bubble Bobble series. Yeah, any of those type of games. So, I mean, puzzle games.
Retro Bros in chat. Hi, Retro Bro. Good to see you.
Hey.
I miss Olga having the arguments. Someone's having arguments between the classes. I tell you what, if the VCS goes down to that $100 again, I'd get it. For
I'd pick it up for $100. No, I don't want to pay the. I think they still want almost $400 for it. I think that's a little too much for me for what I would use it for.
Oh, vape bag, because you got the volcano thing. I keep forgetting that. Sorry. Kitty cats. Wow, I'm really far.
Back from the dead's in here.
Hey. Thomas Bryant in the house.
I don't know if I said it, but Fastback's in chat.
Popcorn.
You did.
I'm losing track myself.
Keep the faith. How is Bomberman bombing right now?
It's a protest vote because we spent half the show saying, hey.
It's true. Blitzkrieg.
There it is. I'm already up to blood and teeth. I'm sorry. This is the chat's like really jumping around on me right here. Be sure to. Nice. Thanks, Rhea. Oh my God! Someone's ringing my doorbell upstairs. Well. Oh well. They're gonna keep ringing. Anyway, so how's everybody doing?
I'm good. I'm here.
I'm just gonna scroll down, dude. I'm not gonna read every single, but thanks to everyone in chat for showing up. Troll or not troll. So, anyways, we're talking puzzle games. So what is everybody's
and you lovely ogres?
Right. What is everybody's favorite puzzle game when you think of puzzle games? Like, what do you think of? Like, what's some of your favorites?
I'd say one of my favorites is probably Adventure of Lolo.
Okay.
I'm not really good at it, and I don't play it all that often, but I think I like puzzle games that are like cute and fun to play. That's one of the ones that always pops to mind.
Would Lemmings count as a puzzle game?
Yeah, that counts as a puzzle game, I feel like. I mean, they're just kind of walking in a line, and you have to figure out how to use them to like get to the other end of the stage and not have them die.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite. I've been playing, teaching my kids how to play like Monument Valley has been a good one, and Aquavius. I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Mobile app games. It's basically like pipes where you just connect like Roman aqueducts, and you take turns either like doing it in X number of moves or doing it in a certain amount of time. It's a few years old, but just inexpensive mobile games, and my kids are enjoying, sort of poking around and prodding around with those.
Blitzkrieg says Tetris. Yeah, Tetris is huge. I was always a Bomberman guy. Like that to me, that was like. I mean, it's kind of adventure puzzle game. I mean, depending on how you play it. I mean, if you're playing multiplayer, it's more puzzle. There's obviously a story mode and stuff, but that and Bust a Move and Parasol Stars, I'd say would be the three that I like.
Yeah, I guess it's what's everybody's definition of a puzzle game?
Yeah, that's kind of a question.
Would a game like Portal be a puzzle game?
Portal, I definitely consider a puzzle game because the entire focus is trying to figure out how to get out of the room. Like
every room, every level, every scenario is a puzzle to solve. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there is some combat, but not really.
Would a Legend of Zelda, a link between worlds, be a puzzle game?
And see, that has puzzle.
It's kind of going in like we did with
but I don't consider that the main focus. It's kind of like I know Retro Bro had mentioned Resident Evil, and it's got some puzzle elements because you have to find like various different items and figure out how to use them, and your inventory management and all that other stuff, when to save and all that. Those are all things you have to kind of consistently think of and keep in mind when you're playing it. Is it primarily a puzzle game? Maybe not, but does it have a lot of puzzle game elements? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's a question of how much is the puzzles themselves the focus, because then if you go back to something like text adventure games, point and click, Escape from Monkey Island, Zork 1, Zork 2. I mean, every element.
Yeah, about like Commodore 64 text games. Yeah,
all the King's Quest games are right in there too.
All of those games where you're basically trying to. I mean, you're exploring. The essence of those games are exploring. So is that a puzzle, or is that something like Shadowgate as well?
Yeah, so that would be. I guess when I'm thinking when I think a retro puzzle, I'm thinking more or less a one screen. And that goes back to kind of how we were explaining with shooters last week. But I think it's more or less like you got. I don't know, I don't know if you've ever played Crater Maze for TurboGrafx, or the Doraemon version of it. You're basically going. It's like a one screen game where you're going around and you're like. You're getting rid of enemies or pushing things where they need to go to complete that screen, and then you go to a next screen. That's kind of, and then like Bomberman's kind of the same way. but then you got the ones like Tetris, which are like the falling parts. You got stuff like Arkanoid where you're hitting, and Breakout where you're hitting stuff. You're just hitting blocks. So I don't know. There's a lot of type of puzzle. And then of course you got like the modern and mobile stuff like Candy Crush and all those crazy things too. You know, where you're swiping, or heck, you could even. I mean, I don't know if you call Fruit Ninja. That's more of a. You know, what I'm saying but it's
Fruit
also
Ninja's not really a
puzzle, but stuff like, I don't know, stuff you're swiping and swiping and swapping. You know, but.
And see, somebody brought up Metroid as well, and that's kind of an adventure puzzle game.
Yeah. I think if the central focus is exploration and you're solving puzzles, I don't think it's a puzzle game. I think there's puzzle elements like I brought up with, A Link Between Worlds or Metroid, or even like a Zork. I mean, you're exploring that world to find out more about the world. That is the point. I think the point of the puzzle game is just solving the puzzle and the satisfaction of solving that riddle in each room or whatever it is that you're supposed to do. It's kind of solving is like the agenda. And I think that's kind of what separates some of those.
Yeah, I agree with that definition. By that definition, I think Portal still fits. But you have to start including stuff like, say, Metroid, which, while it has puzzle elements in it, isn't primarily a puzzle game. Tomb Raider, the same way, because it's got puzzle elements, jumping puzzles and just straight up puzzles. Okay.
We're not falling to your agenda, Mickey Phantom. We know what you get us talking about food, and Harry Pizza will be coming in here soon. Which, by the way, where is Harry Pizza?
I'm sure he'll
always
show
late.
up and
We're
offer us a slice.
We're late. He is within rights to be late.
He's in more than rights. Stacking pieces and like slime or something concern puzzle games too.
Are you guys aware of familiar with a game called I think it's Wilmot's Warehouse?
I don't think I've heard of it. No.
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, you're inside this giant warehouse and you have all these boxes with different shapes and textures and stuff, and it's just moving around and trying to like connect, and I guess in the way of like a columns or something where you're trying to connect or bust a move where you're trying to make chains of things. You're kind of doing the same thing, but it's more of just like a casual move the pieces of this type and find them in the warehouse and try to do it as quickly as you can and get bonuses for kind of completing things. But like, it's not a single screen. It's you're kind of going all over this giant dark warehouse and finding these pieces and shapes and kind of combining them. So I think puzzle games are like a growing genre. I think they are really kind of pressing the limits of what is and isn't a puzzle game. I mean, something like Wordle, it's trying to solve what this word is in 5 guesses or fewer. And it is a massive casual puzzle game. But it doesn't fit that single screen formula. It doesn't fit. It's not a Tetris. It's not like anything else. It's just trying to solve the problem. I think it's just like such a vague and vast genre that it could be almost anything. And that's, I think, one of the appeals.
There's a game called Lost Caves of Kraz for the Intellivision homebrew that is like that. You're going to a room. There's like a laser. There's a switch on the wall. You got to use the switch, turn off the laser so you can get to this other thing to flip that switch to open that door to get. So it's kind of like, I mean, Tomb Raider, like if you didn't already mention while I was reading, like that's another thing. It's like Odd World. That's another like puzzle. I guess a modern version of that. Not
definitely
retro, but it's trying to get I'm sorry, Nick, I didn't mean to cut you out, but stuff like you go like room for room and stuff like that to get to the next room and stuff like that. Yeah, puzzle games where you put a puzzle together.
Yeah. How do you get from room to room, or how do you like advance the adventure with like not, losing those guys, losing those hostages or something in Odd World, losing the workers. So I mean, there's a riddle element to that entire game that I think is, I think it fits the formula.
Yeah. Oh, Tanglewood. Yeah, I never got into. I mean, I liked that because I got more into Xenocrisis on that Evercade cart than I did Tanglewood. But I do need to go back on that. I know. I just like we were saying earlier on Rhea's stream is like sometimes some of these games are so time consuming you just can't sit down and enjoy them like you like to.
Well, and that's kind of a chronic Evercade problem is you get so much on a cart. That you kind of start getting picky about what you'll play on the cart because there's usually so much of it on there, and you just don't have time to play it. Like out of the cards that I've got so far, which I've kind of stopped grabbing them for right now because I'm kind of looking at them going, I don't have time to play these right now. What am I doing other than just have them on the shelf? I need to I need to get more of these out of the shrink wrap and play them and do some sort of video or something on them. I just haven't had time.
Do you think that's a problem for something like Evercade, where, I mean, they are very, I would presume, now I don't know for certain, but I would presume they are quite dependent and very, tuned in to the retro gamer community on YouTube and on Facebook groups and other places where we tend to hang out and socialize. If there's kind of a general feeling amongst that group, like, I'm kind of getting burnt out on this, or I can't keep up with this, is that a problem for them? Or do you think they've kind of breached or moved past just the retro community in YouTube and have more of a casual audience appeal?
I think I don't think they're too concerned with it because, I mean, for the most part, the cards stay around $20, right? So usually like once a paycheck or once every paycheck or so, somebody can afford to get a cart. And if they don't play it for a very long time, it doesn't really matter. They spent $20 on a cart that has like anywhere between, on average, 6 to 13 games, right?
Yeah. So, but if they're selling 30,000 of, a certain cart, because most of the people that own one are buying, or half or a third of them are buying them as soon as they come out, versus kind of everyone's kind of a little inundated and can't keep up with it. So it's kind of those numbers fall off.
Yeah. Well, I think that comes into more people like me who got in earlier, right? So I wasn't collecting them from the start. Like most of the people that have been collecting them from the start, they just have a bunch of them, but I've still got like maybe 10 plus carts that I don't have yet.
Right.
So for me, it's a little bit more expensive proposition. And how many do I want to buy this, or do I want to pick something else up instead of this, and put that money towards like maybe a larger purchase that I'd rather have, as opposed to a $20 cart this week, Sometimes I can do both. Sometimes I feel justified in doing both. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't really want to figure that out right now. Like right now, I got to line up all my carts and go, okay, which ones do I have? Which ones do I don't have? So I can start filling in gaps. A couple of them I know I don't have. Like
you flipped around then on. Like I did that at the beginning too.
Yeah, like the Oliver twins and the Mega Cats. I know I don't have those.
Yeah, I was gonna say Oliver. Those are two of like the ones I don't like.
Well, those are ones that I would have for completionist sake. But yes. I don't know that I'll really mess with them. I've seen enough of those to know I don't think I'm really going to enjoy a lot of those. I might enjoy more on the Mega Cats cart than you did, because I tend to have more of a fondness for puzzle games than you do. And I remember some of those had like a decent amount of puzzle games.
There's the Mega Cats 2 I liked more than one. Like one I didn't like. But then again, I might want to go back because... Or no, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of Mega Cats, but Indie Heroes actually was pretty good. Was that the one with Flea on it, or was that
Indie Heroes? I think is a great cart, and if you like RPGs, there's a lot there to like. It's one of the best carts for RPGs.
I have like carts 1 through 21 for Evercade, and then of course 26, which is Intellivision Collection 2, and then I got 1 and 2 Technos and Data East of the arcade collection. So I got a lot more to fill in with the Burgundy ones, and then we got speaking of that, I didn't want to ignore this.
The C64
C64 is coming out. They got the
computer
blue card
collection.
Yeah, my favorite C64 game. There's a couple text adventures from back in the day that I don't even remember the name of because I was just young, but I'd say Ghostbusters on the Commodore 64 is my most iconic memory for Commodore 64. So that's my favorite game on that. That's to me is my favorite. I know there's like a lot more I know there's so many other ones it could be, but that's my favorite.
A better version of Ghostbusters.
Oh, to me, that was the ultimate one. I'd say the close second would probably be believe it or not, Sega Master System, only because it was closer to the C64 version, which to me was the one that made it. That was the one.
See, the only 8-bit one that I ever messed with was the one on the NES. And that one's just confusing to figure out what you're doing in some cases. And then other times just kind of tedious and frustrating. The first really good Ghostbusters game I remember messing with was the one on the Genesis. And I know the Game Boy, I think the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance had a few that looked like they were pretty solid, but I haven't touched on those personally.
Yeah. The Wii version and the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. I think it was PlayStation 3 and the 360.
You mean Ghostbusters, the video game, the 360?
It was very
PS3 one?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's excellent.
And the
Very, very
C64 was a good
frustrating in
version.
parts.
I'm just looking at chat here. There's so many conversations going.
Yeah, there's a lot of side conversations
I don't know if
going
people
on
are
right
arguing
now.
with themselves, if they're real, if they're it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all good. Everybody,
I see a few things go by, and I try and
the Oliver
respond to a couple
twins.
things,
I'm not a fan of. I know everybody loves it. Well, that's more Europe too. Europe grew up with Dizzy and stuff like that. If I grew up with that, of course I'd love it. That's just how it is. It's all about like what you grew up on and what you had back in the day.
It was a different time. You have to remember, in Europe, I mean, the Master System, yes, outsold the NES in Europe, but the Master System really didn't hit Europe until about 1990. I mean, the sales were dismal. Nintendo really wasn't there. It was, it was an 8-bit computer and 16-bit computer market up until like 91. So, Dizzy,
and they were big on the PC market too.
Yeah, and you didn't have a lot of franchises because everything was on cassette tapes. Everything was copied, and pirated was a big issue throughout Europe because you have different pirating or anti-piracy and copyright laws across the continent that was very difficult for a lot of these companies to kind of overcome. So the whole of the 80s, Europe didn't crash like the US market crashed, but the US market was like 95% of the entire video game market. Europe was a very small piece, and that was mostly, bedroom coders and, copying tapes and getting your stuff for free. There was a very small market there, and
Japan was
something
still
like
heavily
Disney
in the arcades around that time. They weren't as much into consoles.
Japan was always like 2 to 3 years behind us. So like, the Pong craze that hit in 75 here didn't hit Japan until like 76 or 78, 79. I think 77 was when Nintendo released their first systems, but their Pong craze was a few years after ours. Their first dedicated consoles, or not dedicated, their first programmable consoles were like 3 years after ours. As our system was crashing, they were just introducing the SG-1000 and the Famicom and these first,
because their big arcade hit was Space Invaders, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they got into it before, but they didn't really start sparking their major interest.
Space Invaders was huge for them. And Pac-Man kind of came and went, and they were like, okay. So, I mean, it was still kind of a small market for them at the time.
Right?
I think Space Invaders just hit like a niche for them because it was both tactical, it was kind of offensive on it, and while Pac-Man had has a lot of tactics to it, just on how you map the board and how the AI moves, that just kind of seems to strike at the core for them, because like Japan has always been like shoot 'em up heavy, right? Mm-hmm. And not to derail us back into that conversation from the previous time.
Well, they had whole Space Invaders cafes that they were creating.
Right,
I mean, it was such a craze. They when they go into something, Japan culturally is very much community affiliated and social. It's a very society looking culture, whereas we're very individualistic in the West. They are very social. So if something is popular, it becomes very popular. Nintendo, everybody buys Nintendo. PlayStation, everybody buys Sony. At least they did. I think it's kind of dying down a little bit. Microsoft, if nobody else is buying Microsoft, you're not really going on a limb. That's very much unheard of. So if something explodes, it really explodes. And it's hard to have like kind of niche stuff.
Space Invaders. So there's so many conversations going on in here.
You'll never catch up, sir.
Yeah, no, it's all.
Yeah, at this point, just endure, sir.
Oh my god, and there goes.
You're not going to catch up.
Oh my god, Tetris is sweeping. So Tetris. So we only got 51 votes in, but that's still right now. Tetris at 63%.
Probably deserves
Bobble 16 and Bomberman at 12.
I think part of the reason for that is almost everybody had some variant on Tetris.
Yeah.
I mean, if you owned a Game Boy, you had Tetris, right? It was on all the consoles. It's been on mobile. It's usually free to download. Like,
also, I
don't know how you would have not played Tetris.
I don't know that Bubble Bobble or Bomberman are puzzle games. Like, maybe, but
I would say Bubble Bobble is. I'd say Bomberman has a lot of action elements on it where you're mostly competing against the other player trying to trap them. That's not necessarily a puzzle.
But that's okay. Dig Dug. Isn't that the same with Bubble Bobble? I mean, for Bust a Move, yes, I think that's more of a puzzle.
Bubble Bobble, you're just looking to like connect colors and pop things in a specific order to be able to clear the board.
Well, that's Bust a Move. But I think with Bubble Bobble, where you're the two dragons bouncing around and you're putting things in bubbles and capturing, the sweets as they come out.
Turrican on C64? Really? Because I remember that on, I think it's on TurboGrafx. If I'm not mistaken.
It is on Turbo. Well, there, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure there's a million things. That's what I remember that name from.
Yeah, I think in Genesis and Super
Loud
Nintendo.
noises.
Yeah, Turrican showed up on a lot of things that I didn't think it popped up on until I saw it on the TurboGrafx, and then I started seeing it everywhere, and I'm like, wow, okay, how'd I miss this?
This is like retro games. Nice name.
Remember, a vote for Tetris is also a vote for Hatris and Wordtris and Facetris. Facetris 3, I think.
Facetris?
Yes.
I'm not sure where you're going with this, but I sort of approve.
Oh, that's. We can blame Phil Adam for all of those. That was all Spectrum Holobyte getting creative. We're like, oh, right, we did blocks. What can we do? Let's do words. Okay, let's do hats. Let's do people's faces.
Yeah, Dino Blast.
At that point, the market was like, okay, we're done. We're done. We're ready for like Bejeweled. Please give us Bejeweled.
Dino Blaster was actually, I mean, I watched Level 857 play it. They did a 4-player one, and that's, I think, the only, I've not picked I never picked up the controller and played that, but they had a blast playing that. And once again, like, I'm such a Bomberman fan like that, but that was one I just never picked up and played.
Oh yeah, it's a fun series. I did not get to play that.
Oh, you don't get the option on the to go. Oh, I don't know. Are they still selling to Europe? I thought they were, or is that, have they not? Maybe it's
for what?
I don't know. For AMICOs, I didn't know. I think
right now with sales for AMICO, they might be. Yeah. I don't think they are doing any marketing or taking any. It would probably not be wise to take a bunch of new orders in those markets.
I didn't think they were taking any orders and hadn't.
I thought they still had it on the website, I think.
Oh, that's right. You could like reserve, but
yeah, I mean, it's not like a down payment or anything. Yeah, you just click on a reserve, and I'm sure you could do that. But you don't have to give any money anymore. Like back in when it first this whole started, like I have like a pre-order with $100 for each unit. They don't do anymore. It's a free pretty much reservation, like Nick said. It's just just reserving it.
Yeah, I think just
4,000 straight up. I haven't played. I really wanted to play that. That's the newer. What was the one that came out on Jaguar? Is that Tempest 2000?
2000.
I think that was 2000. Yeah.
Then 4,000 is the one that's either like on. And that's another thing.
For VCS,
I think
and Steam.
4,000 is actually on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has been. I'm literally, while they're talking, trying to like. It does jump around. It seems like whenever StreamYard gets like about 50 or 60 in chat, it starts jumping a little bit. It's kind of weird.
I'm kind of following some of it, but a lot of it is like side conversations between two people.
And I know a lot of people. I try to read as much as I can, but eventually it's going to get to the point.
Well, a lot of it is between
much, I'm just going to just talk and eventually.
I would pick out some comments that you want to respond to. I mean, there's a lot of people with nice comments. Just another viewer. Yes, I like jigsaw puzzles. Like put them together with my wife. It's a very nice little afternoon, evening thing to do when the kids are asleep. But you got to pick and choose some of these.
You know what? I mean, when we first started, it was like, maybe 25 people in chat, but when it starts getting into the 70s and 50 to 70 and it's jumping, and I just, unfortunately.
You're just going to have to try to correct comments from like people.
Yeah, so I just don't want people to think like I'm
occasionally. No, I think everybody gets it, man. And a lot of people are just kind of having their own side conversation. Like I said, Atari and JCO are kind of having like a very in-depth side conversation thing going on.
With gloves. I challenge you to a duel. Have you heard, Tommy? I mean, as far as I keep in contact with him. Yeah, but I mean,
since last AMICO Forever, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a very good friend of mine, of all of ours. It's just, he's disconnected from social media right now, so he's just dealing with his own thing, and it's kind of like Phil running stuff right now. He's kind of, I mean, he's still obviously the owner and in everything.
He's not the owner. He's president and chief creative officer.
President and chief creative. Okay, there you go.
Right. And right now, there's limitations of what you can do creatively until they're working on additional games. So I would think his strategy has been to kind of take a hands-off approach. If he's taken something off of Instagram, I don't know. I don't follow his Instagram account to know whether or not that's been removed.
I don't really use Instagram. I've got it. I just never use it.
Yeah, and any distance right now on social media is, I think, a wise move. Probably good for your mental health.
Yeah.
I mean, I know as someone just on social media with a connection to Intellivision, it can be a little crazy sometimes. So, yeah, if you want to keep your marbles together, you might just kind of put some blinders onto some of that. But he's still working for the company.
Yeah. But yeah, nice, like, once again, nice name, awesome avatar. You're not bothering. You're awesome. You're cool, man. Yeah, there might not be an option for that then. I would just wait and see till everything comes out then, unfortunately. I think anybody that pre-ordered.
Is that for ordering in Europe?
Yeah, it looks like that. So that must be no option then.
Right now, all we can say is stand by.
I wish I knew more.
We'll see what they say or what happens.
Just another viewer. You do not develop games, do you really? Did you really make one on the Playdate, or are you just trolling?
It's open.
The Playdate has been actually. The Playdate has turned into an awesome place for people who want to start to get into development to start getting into development.
That would make sense.
It's another one of those cool places because from talking to
that was one of its tenets.
Jeff from talking to Jeff from Go Game Go, it's got a really good intuitive design feature set that allows you to pretty rapidly start kind of hitting your teeth on game development without really having to bang your head too hard against like really, really deep coding and have a lot of assets and stuff to be able to play with. And so there's been way more games come out on the Playdate than was originally slated for on it for that reason. It's become like an indie darling, which is fantastic. I love that. I want to see more things do that.
Yeah.
Hey, game librarian, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, there's no technical reason why, game design should be limited to understanding and knowing programming. I mean, everything else, art direction, art design, every mechanic of game development has been kind of parceled out and put in its specific box. So to be able to design a game with something like Playdate should be easy enough. And with the tools being so easy, like with like an RPG maker or some of these, very hands-on basic beginners level development tools, I think is great. More of these systems should, encourage game development for non-programmer specific audience. Because I know there's certain things you want to do, and there's certain things only a programmer can do, but there's no reason why just designing a game should be limited to that audience.
Yeah, it's a good way to start cutting your teeth, I think, right? Because you dip your toes in, you get used to using those tools, and then as you start learning into limitations on those tools and go, well, I want to do something more, you can start moving towards something like, say, Unity, right? Which also has a lot of helpful feature sets to start helping people learn how to program. And there's a lot of tutorials out there for stuff like that get people to like kind of cut their teeth on more, like actual procedural coding and stuff like that, right? So they can start moving that route. If after they've kind of experimented with it, they've done a couple things, maybe had a little bit of success with it, they can keep doing that on the side. If they can get a little revenue on it, put that towards some classes, towards some other stuff. And then by the time they start doing like full-on development for another company or even make their own company, they've already had several successful titles. And I think that's brilliant. It already gives you kind of a resume, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great way to get your foot in the door.
I hear a fly in here. I heard it earlier. I'm painting a Gyrus arcade on the side art. I'm doing it by hand, and like everything's quiet down here, and all of a sudden it's
no,
like
Chuck, it's Greek. It's gyros.
Oh yeah, gyros. Yeah. It's such a lamb of an arcade. It's such a lamb of an arcade.
And Galaga.
Oh man, I used to not like when people would say Galaga. I'm like, it's not Galaga, it's Galaga. It's not Galaga. Yeah. Especially back in the day, though.
It's one of those things.
Internet.
Yeah, everybody knows better now. But back in the day, we didn't have internet. We didn't know how something was pronounced in Japan or wherever. So
how about AMICO?
it's Galaga.
Like we'd all have stats like baseball cards, or like every time you turn a page, would be another YouTuber. Would they do detractors in one, and then you flip it over, and then the opposite way is all the supporters, and then you got the fence riders in like a separate book, or that'll be a different chapter? I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with it.
That's like whole volumes.
It's volumes.
Yeah.
Or an AMICO dating sim. That would be cool.
No.
Rob, you just don't want to be in the game.
I don't want to know what people will do with my sim.
Yeah, that would be all, dude. If I got a fly stuck in there and he just like, I just paint over him. The question is, I'm going to paint him. Am I going to paint him yellow, red, or orange? Because that's the 3 colors I'm doing for the graphics. I've been taking pictures. It's coming along pretty good. It's just very tedious. I'm like, I can pull that off. I used to cut in stuff and painted for a living long time ago, and so I still have a pretty steady hand. But so now I got little artist brushes and these little square brushes, little round brushes, and I don't know if you ever seen the side of a gyrus. Like I'll show you. It's insane. Let's see if I can pull it up here. It's mine. See, it had a bunch of gyros. Oh, it's because it's euros. I'm just kidding. Arcade cabinet. Yeah, here we go. That's it. Yeah, that'll work. How can I share? I don't know how to do technology stuff. There it is. So that's like basically what it looks like. So like that side art is what I'm repainting, because it's all someone had done graffiti on the side and sprayed it everywhere. And I tried to remove the graffiti, and then the old enamel started scraping off, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm just going to use it as a template, and I just started hand painting everything. So it's going to take me forever. I wish I wouldn't have started doing it, but it's in the long run, it's really going to look cool, and I'll even show it on the channel too. But it was just, that's what I've been working on.
You kind of tape off and do your own stencils, or is that like vinyl siding that you put on, or like
no, I'm taking paint and a brush and redoing it. I'm just going over everything that's on there and repainting everything.
All right.
And the thing that sucks, which is just which I know because is
finger paint.
Well, no, it's regular wall. Yeah, right. I just finger paint it. Just write it on there with my finger.
It's good.
I put my high score on the side. Well, that's the thing is that people had graffiti and high scores on the side, but I had I'm hoping mine looks like that good when it's done, but it was either that, get stencils, try to spray paint certain parts, and then but it's down here. I don't want to bring it. I have to haul it all the way upstairs and take it out and like outside to do that type of stuff. And then I was like, well, then I can get like the graphic that you just squeegee on and you spend a few $100s on that. I'm like, no, I'm like, dude, I could do this. It's just going to take me forever. But the thing that sucks is yellow is the worst. It's almost transparent.
So you're like old school, like electromechanical, or just like mechanical era, old school.
Yeah. I'm just going to my hand and a brush, but that yellow is literally going to take 5 coats because it's like transparent, but that's just how the bases are. The red was covered fairly okay. The orange was a little worse, but the yellow it's like painting with a magic marker. It's gonna take a lot, but I take a picture each time I do a coat, and it's starting to slowly look really insanely good. But anyways, that's what I've been up to. But yeah, once that fly lands, if he gets stuck in there, I'll just paint him over whatever color he lands on.
It works.
Hopefully not yellow, because you will need a lot of extra coats.
Probably.
Oh, here we go.
Just kind of scooch him over to the red or the black.
Ooh, Konami collection on Game Boy Advance. It has Scramble, Time Pilot, and Gyrus is very
good.
Awesome. I used to have where did I have that? There was some sort of, it must have been a Konami collection of something that I had Gyrus on. But and that's what it was. I think it was PlayStation 1, or was it my? No, because it was Century cabinet made by Konami, right? Let me double check here.
Centurai. Yeah, no, it wasn't made by Konami made it, but Centurai was like the publisher, and they made the cabinets because they had a deal specifically. Yeah, they had a deal. I think Stern had the original deal, and then
it was PS1 Konami Greatest Hits. It had Yair Kung Fu Arcade and Gyrus Arcade, and I was like, "What's Gyrus?" And that was the very first time I played it. And then many years later, a buddy of mine that collects arcades and stuff like me, and he goes, "Dude, I have a Gyrus cabinet sitting here." He goes, "I need it out of my garage. Would you like to buy it for a few $100?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would." I'm like, I used to play that game on my PlayStation, so it was kind of cool to have that. Favorite pinball machine would be Williams Sorcerer, 1984, 85, I think. God, you think I know? It's like right out the door here, but
I never got huge into pinball. Like
my dad.
Like I always play it when it's around. I'd always do a couple plays on something, but I never got really good at any pinball machine.
Yeah, we got the Silver Ball Museum in Asbury Park in Jersey. Is it Asbury Park? Yeah, it's a nice little place to get away to.
Yeah,
I love pinball.
I always wanted a Zoltar machine, but I'd place it on a boardwalk.
I could see that.
Place it on a boardwalk and then put a microphone, speaker, and I'd be in a mic being like, "You're going to get very young. You're going to go back to a kid." Anyways.
Yeah. My kids were just at a Zoltar machine this weekend.
I found them. They're like everywhere. They're on piers and boardwalks now. Ever since that movie,
I was about to say, I think they got really popular because of Big.
Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely because were they even real? I don't even think that was a real thing.
I don't know if it was or not.
They would take these fortune teller machines and turn them into Zoltar machines.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure they.
I don't even think that was.
I don't think it was licensed. I think they probably made it for Big, but fortune teller machines have been around forever. It was usually an older gypsy or I think they had some very attractive younger gypsies, but I don't know that they had a Zoltar as a specific. I don't know. Have to look it up. I'm assuming they made it for Big.
Yeah, that's what I would.
It's like a Wreck-It Ralph,
Yeah, and it kept them from having to have to deal with any licensing, right?
Yeah.
Because when you do stuff like that, if you make it kind of more unique and stuff like that, you don't have to pay license fees to anybody for God only knows how long.
How many? Like The Last Starfighter or whatever. But how many of those older movies had a licensed game that they played, and those companies paid to have them in and featured because it would get them a little more popularity and maybe a few more sales.
Yeah.
If you had your game featured in something like War Games or something, then it would be a little bit more popular. Atari paid for advertising in those movies, so I think a bunch of them would.
Mm-hmm.
So we did. So we were talking puzzle games. There's another thing. Wow, Tetris is still just—it's going to be Tetris, man. It's totally going to be Tetris.
Tetris is running away with it.
Yeah, it's just what it's going to be. We'll let it go for another 10 minutes and we'll stop. Yeah, you're right, dude. It is a Mandela effect. It's like one of those things. Was it? I'd really just have to do some research.
I never really dug much into the fortune teller machines anyway. The first time I really remember seeing one was on Big, and I remember thinking, that's really neat. It's kind of a cool thing to have. And then after a while, it seemed like they just sort of popped up in the middle of nowhere. I even think there was one in Batman Forever in the Riddler's hideout. It was just kind of there.
See, and I know we had them on Coney Island. So there was a thing, but I don't think it was Zoltar. What is it?
Zoltar. You're thinking of Shazam. It was Shazam,
Voltron. No, I'm thinking of Voltron the Incredible now.
Cat fighter. You think I'd have a thing for that?
Cat fighter. Meow.
There we go. I thought we burned them out on it by the glitches in the beginning, but I guess not.
Yeah, it was so glitchy. I need to make a new intro. I think I accidentally deleted the other one. Oh my goodness. No, I was talking. Another thing, what I like to find. This is kind of. I brought this up as a topic because obviously there's no news, but there's also that I've been like kind of searching for this my next because I was all into shooters and stuff like that. Now I'm like, and then I was into fighters. I'm like, I'm gonna try to search for some obscure platformers that I have never tried in my life.
Yes.
And
I have a quiz for the chat on this.
All right. I'd like to hear this.
What was the first platform game?
The very first platform, Mario Brothers?
The very first platform game. Okay, we have Mario Brothers.
Now, are you talking like side-scrolling? What do you define platformer?
Platform.
Okay.
Just
like any platform.
Any platform.
So then
we have Mario
jumping
Brothers.
Pac-Man. Does jumping have to be a mechanic, or can it just be like moving around like
Bionic Commando doesn't jump, and that's a platformer, right?
That's true. Well, kind of, yes, but yeah. Okay.
All right, so like
that opens up a lot more then. Okay. Because my first instinct was going to be Donkey Kong, because that's the first one you could really jump in. But
July of '81.
I'm sure there was ones before that had platforms that you could go and move around on. I can't remember if Burger Time came out before or
82.
after Donkey Kong.
Burger Time was 82. Hero, I think, was 84. Pitfall's 82. Jungle Hunt / Jungle King, I think, was 82. Any other guesses?
What's up, Sneed Chucky? Good to see you, man.
You're all very wrong.
Yeah, well, no, I knew Donkey Kong was wrong. I just used it as like my first instinct until you said, no, you don't have to jump. And then I knew that was out the window because there had been platform games before.
It's not Space Cant. We do have a nearly right answer. We have a technical right answer, but I'm going to go into this a little bit.
Okay.
So the earliest platformer that we have on here is late September brand with Space Panic. That was a game by Universal out of Japan. It came out in 1980.
Ooh,
I think
makers
December.
Of Mr. Dew, by the way, Universal.
Made Mr. Dew, Mr. Dew's. Did they make Mr. Dew's Castle, or was that?
I think that's all Universal, yeah.
Yeah, I know they licensed out after a little while, but that's Universal. Not the same as Universal Studios. But yeah, Space Panic was a game that came out November 1980. You climb ladders. You look at Space Panic. If you pull it up and look at it, it's ladders, it's platforms. It was not a big hit here in the US. It kind of flopped, but there was a lot of games that were based off of it on the computers, like Apple Panic for the Apple II, and the TRS-80, and the whole Atari 8-bit 400, 800, 600 XL, 800 XL series. So Space Panic is the first platformer that was technically released. There is, however, an earlier platformer.
So Dark says you don't jump in Space Panic, but you do go up and down ladders on platforms.
Yeah,
so
platforming.
You don't jump, but you climb ladders, you walk around, and you dig.
Mr. Dew's the best. I love it. Sorry.
It's defined by you avoid pits. You climb on different platforms. You have 5 platforms and ladders connecting them. You don't jump on Burger Time. That's still a platformer.
Yeah. There's a number of platformers
in Bionic Commando.
That don't necessarily use jumping. It's just a very common mechanic in platformers. So much so that they've almost been defined by them at this point, but they didn't start that way.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. So Mario's doing bad.
So the first platformer, and I'm a little, Tommy never used this on his Intellivision series of first, but the first platformer that was the earliest platformer that we know of that was developed and has been since released, although it wasn't released in its day, was Hard Hat for Intellivision. You pull up Hard Hat on your Intellivision flashback, and it says 1979 Mattel Electronics. That's 2 years before Donkey Kong.
Which one is this now?
Hard Hat. You've got the construction site, and you're carrying the glass.
The glass.
And you're going up, then you like elevator action. You're going up and down, going on different platforms, and you're going up, and you can fall down to the bottom, and you can climb back up the elevators and go on all these different platforms. That's 1979 by APH Consulting. So, and Intellivision first.
That calls for another Oktoberfest.
That's what I thought.
That was like me getting in discussions with people on the first FPS.
Hard Hat wasn't released. It was created in 1979, and I don't think it's one of those games where they didn't think it was kind of ready for release. It needed more work, so it sat. and it was released later, I think in like 96 or 97 on one of like the Intellivision Lives series, and then again on the Intellivision Flashback. It might have been Intellivision Rocks. So it was released. It was just released, 18, 19 years after it was created.
It was created then. Oh, yes. Wow.
So when you open it up, it says 1979 Mattel Electronics. It's got that opening scene, and it was created back then. Yeah, there were no platformers on the Magnavox Odyssey. I mean, the Odyssey could only create 3 dots in a line, so you couldn't really create a platform. And the line, I think, had to be a vertical line. It couldn't be a horizontal line.
Yeah, Magnavox had some pretty severe limitations just because you were basically rewiring the hardware every time you did something with it.
Yeah, well, so it's like diode to transistor logic. Yeah, it didn't have the capability.
There were serious limitations with that particular architecture. But, I mean, it was a beginning. I mean,
you couldn't even put a score on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard rumors Tab is coming back. Dude, I wish. If they did, I think what Coke's going to do is they're going to do what Pepsi did. Release Crystal Pepsi and kiosk, like little kiosks all over little gas stations and department stores and grocery stores. And people are going to buy them up and scalp them on eBay. I happen to get some, and I used to love Crystal Pepsi back in the day. That's what they're going to do. They're going to bring back Tab for the people that there's literally people that just love Tab. I'm one of them, and there's already petitions out there that I've signed and stuff. I mean, they're fun people, whatever. Everybody's got to love something, right? I mean, look at us. I love Intellivision. We love the AMICO. So like everybody loves something. Sometimes people don't agree with it, but hey, we can all still get along. It's just everybody loves different things. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they'll do something like that, but they only discontinued it in 2021. So it's only been like a year and a half. And like, I still have a unopened.
I signed that petition for you to try to get it to come back.
Well, I've signed many of them.
No interest. They send me a newsletter occasionally. It's weird.
Oh my God, that fly just went right past my ear. I wear platform shoes when I play platformers. Nice. What does Tab taste like? Pure deliciousness is what it tastes like. And most people say no. To be honest, it's what Diet Coke should taste like. It tastes sweeter and better, even though there's no sugar. So it was like I can't believe they didn't do that for Diet Coke and keep Tab and just get rid of Diet Coke, because Diet Coke, I know people acquire the taste to the point where they like it. But
didn't they have to withdraw one of those? Like, what? No, it was Diet Right. I think they had to withdraw because of the saccharin or the aspartame or something that was like not approved for like 30 years.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't really do diet sodas.
Yeah, there was saccharin in Tab, but then they finally made it.
There was saccharin in Diet Coke too.
There was saccharin. They were using first. It was saccharin, then it was NutraSweet, then it was there's aspartame now. It was the new thing, and then they get what was the other thing too? There was so many different these. They just kept changing the name, pretty much. Yeah. But the saccharin was one of the old school stuff, sweeteners, non-sugar sweeteners, and they kept saying it caused cancer, it caused cancer, it caused cancer. And then it come to find out it was only like a few years back, maybe about 6-7 years ago. They were like, oh no, they did studies and go, no, it wasn't the cause of the cancer in the laboratory. And you wonder if it was just stuff back in the day with companies.
Yeah, it was funded by other companies, competitive companies. So Coke came up.
That happened all the time
against what is it, Diet Right. So like RC Cola was screwed. They had the first Diet Cola, and Coke was like, no, that will kill people. And like, okay, we own these three senators. You guys tell them it will kill people. Like, no, we're going to take it off the market.
The Haunted House remake, I cannot wait to see that. Like, that's what I wish about the whole VCS thing. I wish, because I'd wanted to get one originally because I thought there'd be exclusives that you can only find in that, like remakes of Haunted House. But if it's going to be on everything, I'll just get it on my Switch,
Yeah.
I want stuff I can only play on that. But I might still get it just as a collector, to be honest.
Well, I mean, the whole point of like the VCS is that you'll get extra stuff on there with it, right?
Yeah.
You can play it anywhere because that's how they're making revenue. It's helping them stay afloat. It gives them some extra income for people that don't want to spend that much money on the VCS or whatever reason. And then they give some extra bennies to people who buy it on their platform.
It's not a bad strategy for what they are, but yes, if they do want to kind of grow market share, then they do have to have that exclusive angle or something that has a rationale for buying that. But I think Atari's interests are more in publishing and doing some other stuff. I mean, they have the platform, but growing that platform's audience probably is not their priority. I think kind of stabilizing the company is more, and what they're publishing, which is not bad. I mean, they're putting out these new games that we haven't seen remakes of in forever. So, you know, it's maybe not what we want, but it's not bad. You're still getting new Atari games. So kudos to them for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're still doing that. Like I said, I want to get that haunted house. What was the other one that they were announced? That whole
Yar's
Atari
Revenge.
50th, yeah, the 50th. I was gonna say the 50th Revenge, the 50th anniversary. Yeah, I want to kind of get that.
Yeah, as I said, there's currently an exclusive on the VCS called BPM Boy.
Yeah, they do have timed exclusives.
Dude,
I don't know if they have.
Yes.
There's been a couple of exclusives that people have mentioned in here that really are only on the VCS, or we're on there limitedly for a longer period of time that you would call an exclusive, or at least a timed exclusive.
Yeah. And, you know,
Surge was another one. Sorry.
Tomb Raider was an exclusive on the Sega Saturn. I don't think it moved a lot of Saturns. I think it was an exclusive for like a month or 2 months, but still, it was an exclusive, and it kind of, you know.
Okay, apparently BPM was by Tony Barnes.
Favorite root beer was always A&W, but a second favorite, because it's local here, would be Faygo root beer, which is also very delicious. Both of those, either of those. But anyways, well, I was going to say something. We were talking about platforming, which was great. That's what I'm about to dive into, is trying to find some obscure stuff on the Turbo, on the Genesis, and on the Nintendo and Super Nintendo. Just stuff I've never played, which is a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I never played. I never had access to a ton of games, back in the day. It was like you only had a limited amount of what you got for whether it be the holidays or your birthday. I mean, especially for the NES, where I'm a kid, and I don't have really means. I mean, I was starting to grow up to where, because I remember I saved up. I had I worked for a pizza place and passing out flyers for like a couple of weekends, and I saved up enough to buy like a low grade, which was when it ended up being one of my favorites. I saved up like $30 to get a $30 NES game, which was always the ones like that weren't like the high end,
the budget titles.
But I ended up getting that Jalico game, the Robo Warrior, which is just it became one of my all-time favorite games. Here, I did say Faygo root beer. Well, A&W was the first one, though. That's Now Your Father's is actually pretty good. Yeah, we got big boys here. They're starting to shut down, but they're pretty good. I've eaten there.
See, by the time I got to Big Boy, they had already converted it to like a showcase. They still had the Big Boy out front, but it wasn't Big Boy.
Oh, Decap Attack, isn't that one of the original Grid Box games? I think I might actually get that.
Yes,
I think it is. Yeah, Decap Attack is weird, man. Definitely it's kind of hard to play.
I want to try that though.
I mean, it's a really great concept. I just like some of the platforming, what they want you to do. I look at what they're showing me, and I'm going, "What the hell am I doing here again?" Like I'd have to watch videos, even like on some of the early stages, just to kind of figure out like, what am I supposed to be doing mechanically? Because this isn't making a lot of sense to me right now.
Anyways, I wanted to end. I'm going to end not the stream. I'm going to end the stream, which we actually will, because I know we got to get out of here. There's a lot of us got stuff that we got to get to. But yeah, it's Tetris, dude. It's Tetris at 61%. There was not even. I'm
not surprised in the slightest that it was Tetris.
I remember Barks. Yeah, that was like the Pepsi version of that.
Shocking. I like.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try the Decap Attack. Like I know of it. I don't think I've ever sat. I might even have like dabbled and played it at a friend's house. I remember it, but I just don't. I've never sat down to actually let me play this game. So, and I want to let everyone know that hopefully, if everything works out, next week we're going to have Papa Pete, the old guy gamer, on to talk Intellivision homebrews, because there's a lot of exclusive homebrews that are coming out on Intellivision Collector and IntellivisionRevolution.com. So I'm going to have him here to really talk to the Intellivision fans and old school Intellivision fans to see that there is over way over. I think we're almost reaching to the point where we're going to get to about 200 homebrews on the Intellivision system. There was only originally 125 released for the system itself. So the homebrew market is going strong. They have Frankenstein's Monster, Castle of Death. They have what else has come out? They have Brian's Man Cave did a Keystone Coppers Keystone Cops.
Yeah, he's done Keystone Coppers, and he did another one. I'm trying to remember what his other.
He's doing one called Space Taxi right now. He's working on. There's just so many great, and they're really trying to. Some of them are simple or just regular like they would be in the day, and some of them really push the limits. Like there's one called Infiltrator. William Moeller. You got to see this thing. It's like whole
with Electronite.
Oh yeah, and Electronite and all these companies are just doing such a great thing. And then they're doing a Vanguard arcade port of Vanguard for the Intellivision, and it looks fantastic. But Pete's going to be on. He's an awesome dude, and we're going to let him talk a little bit tomorrow. We're talking about Papa Pete, Mike. But yeah, so hopefully we'll have him on next week, so we could, he could talk about these awesome homebrews.
In a world of Pete's.
In a world of Pete's. But with that being said, we're going to end it because we got to take off. We're just over an hour. But I want to thank everyone in chat. I know it's been nuts. People were arguing. As long as we're not cussing each other out, if we can have hard discussions, but let's just keep it civil. I don't want people to be mean or trashing. If you don't like an AMICO, you don't like an AMICO. I don't think anyone's going to change anyone's mind. And if you do love it, then you love it. I do. I believe in it. I'm hoping we get some news soon. Yeah, Vanguard's awesome. But thank you to each and every one of you in the chat, and we'll see you next week for episode 48.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Have a good week.